Want to run faster, jump higher, move with more power? The Sports Recovery and Development Program at Bridges Therapy Group builds speed, strength, agility, and endurance while correcting movement issues that can cause injury. Give your athlete the edge. Schedule an assessment today at srdathlete.com. The Fayetteville Bulldogs have a roster loaded with talent. So how does head coach Casey Dick think they're going to look in 2025? Plus, how they found an opportunity to give back off the football field. It is Thursday, August 28th, and this is Varsity Vibe Today. Welcome into Varsity Vibe Today. I'm your host, Alyssa Orange, and we are one day closer to the start of high school football. We've been talking about it all week. Really, we've been talking about it for the last week and a half. And as we get going today, we're going to focus on the Fayetteville Bulldogs, looking at head coach Casey Dick. What can he do with this team in 2025? They add a transfer quarterback in Hank Hendrix, who is highly recruited already as a junior. A lot of talent returning to this team that was state champions 2 years ago. They ended last season 8-3. Those 3 losses to Texas High, Bentonville during the regular season, and in the quarterfinals of the state playoffs against Pulaski Academy. It's an exciting new year, an exciting new challenge, and let's get to our conversation with head coach Casey Dick, brought to you by our Lewis Automotive opening drive. Looking to upgrade your vehicle? It is the trade-in, trade-out event at Lewis Automotive. Get double the factory warranty, all backed by the Lewis Guarantee, happening now in Fayetteville, Springdale, and Farmington. Fayetteville Bulldogs head coach Casey Dick joining us. You are days away from kickoff to start off this 2025 season. Just how are you feeling with kickoff just a few days away now?
Obviously, I think everybody's excited, ready to go. Been doing it all summer, all fall camp to get to the point. So I know the guys are excited. They're ready to line up and play somebody different, see somebody different again. So they've done a really good job of coming in and competing. Obviously honing in more on a specific game plan the last week or so since we've got done with Greenwood, and they've done a good job of getting ready and preparing. So obviously ready for a big night out here at Harmon Stadium.
Yeah, when you want to look at where your team is heading into the season, Greenwood, a pretty good indicator on what things could look like. So what did you take away from that benefit game?
I liked where we were, obviously. A lot of consistency on offense. I told, people after the game, it was probably the first scrimmage I've been a part of with probably, I think, 3 minutes left in the first half. I don't think either quarterback had thrown an incomplete pass. And obviously that's good from one perspective and obviously not what you want from the other perspective. But overall, I like the way our guys played. I thought they played really fast. I thought they got lined up. There's obviously some things that we can work on and get better and obviously improve early on in the year. From that standpoint, but like the speed, the tempo we played with, and overall came away, feeling good about it. But obviously, there's some things will get ironed out from between the scrimmage and when we line up and play Cabot.
It's quite a stat you just threw out there. With that being said, how do you feel about Hank and his implementation into your offense, and how you feel like things are going for him?
He's come in day one, and I think the most important thing of what he's done is been an absolute great teammate. He's a fun kid to be around. He's a football junkie, but he also, he's a kid that, playing the quarterback position as he's obviously going to be a junior or is a junior right now, coming into that role, as a junior, it's sometimes not very experienced, but as a junior, he's got a lot of experience. And starting the last 4 games as his freshman year, and then starting, I think they played 14 games last year, and statistically in the competition he's played against, so he was kind of thrown in and thrusted in the fire early. So he's got some calm, cool, collected street credit, about him, just kind of all in one mix because he's been in there very early in his career. But like I said, he's been an absolute great teammate. He understands the buttons that you have to press of the teammates around you and knows kind of how to push those in a kind of a demanding and not demeaning way, which is important because playing that position, he's got to understand a whole bunch of different personalities and what makes them go. And he's done a great job of getting to know his teammates and also encouraging them and pushing him to get better every day.
The quarterback position well. He's being highly recruited already as a junior. What is his it factor you think he brings to the table?
Consistency. I think when you look at that, he reminds me a lot of Drake in a lot of different categories. But I think, obviously Drake hadn't started any games up to this point, and, he's started roughly 18. So I think, he's probably a little bit ahead, just because he's played more early in his career. But there's a lot of similarities from arm angles to footwork to anticipation is there. But the big thing is just consistency. I mean, he goes out there every day and competes his tail off, no matter what we're doing, if we're warming up or if we're 7-on-7 or team. And then obviously he does a great job, or has done a great job to this point of taking care of the football, which is what you want from your quarterback.
Who are some other guys on this roster that you want people to kind of keep your eye on that have maybe jumped out to you during fall camp?
Yeah, I think one that people will get to know is slot receiver Kenyon Johnson, or inside receiver Kenyon Johnson. He's flipping over from playing corner last year to playing inside receiver. Had a great spring, great fall camp, great summer. Has just really had he plays basketball at the high school too, starts on the basketball team, so has just a great, foundational awareness of playing a lot of different sports. Very explosive kid that I think is going to have a really big year at the receiver spot. And then, I think our offensive line with Matt Heckman and Osborne and then Cy Grant and Reese, who are seniors, will be improved from obviously a year ago, just because obviously they're bigger, they understand what they're doing, they played in the same system now for a year. So those guys have done really, really well. And then Kenyon's brother is our running back as well. They're twins. Somebody informed me last week. Henry Apple, I think, told me that you've coached the most twins out of anybody in Northwest Arkansas. I think we've almost had 4 or 5 sets of twins.
Wow,
that have come
that's a
through.
stat.
So that's kind of unique from that area. But Caleb will do a great job. I think he had a pretty big junior year last year, so he'll play a variety of roles in special teams and play the running back position. And then we have Katavian at outside receiver, who played last year, almost had 1,000 yards. And then another guy that I think will kind of sneak on the radar there is Charles Whitlow, who was a role player for us last year, but is now stepping into that starting role for us, outside receiver at X. And then on defense, there's some guys that played a whole lot of snaps last year. I think when you look at the linebackers, that's kind of our core group, from guys that participated, played a lot, and now are stepping into those more magnified roles, if you will. Will Price was a guy that came in last year and started, I think, the first 4 games on JV, and the remaining part of the year he transformed into an all-state football player by the end of the year, as voted on by the coaches. So we have him and Will Caston and Grayson Jerry. We'll probably play 7 or 8 guys at linebacker, just from that standpoint. And then I think our defensive backs have done a great job of really progressing this year. In the back end, I think, again, we'll probably play 5 or 6 guys back there, kind of led by the committee of Brody and Kendrick and, Charlie Garton and Cole Mobley, some of the guys you visited with, but there'll be some guys that get in there and obviously we'll have an opportunity to play as well.
You talked about going and looking at some film. What do you see from Cabot that was similar to when you played him last year, or what are some new things that you guys are getting ready for?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Reed does a phenomenal job every year of, very well-coached, well-disciplined teams. Very sound schematically. He's going to do some things to obviously try to get your eyes wrong, some play action and things in the backfield. So our guys will have to be disciplined. He'll give you multiple formations without a tight end motion. So we'll have to make sure, obviously, we know how to get lined up before the snap, and then what our adjustment is based off if somebody goes in motion. On defense, they've been, again, very sound schematically. Like to bring some pressure at certain times and do some different things. So, I think it's a great matchup for us. We look forward to playing Coach Reed every year, and he's kind of one of the guys, if you look across the states, kind of a legend based off what he's done at all the places he's been, for sure.
Yeah, well, that game on Friday, I know fans just excited. You guys excited to get the 2025 season going and opening it up at Bulldog Stadium. I want to talk to you more about an event you've got coming up in September. We're going to take a break, or in October, we're going to take a break and talk about that.
If you're an athlete that wants to improve your game, maybe improve your 40, jump higher, have better agility, Bridges Therapy Group's Sport Recovery and Development Program can help. They've been helping student athletes reach their highest potential for quite a while now. They've got a team that includes physical therapists, athletic trainers, personal trainers, and occupational therapists. And together, they design individual plans to build speed, explosive power, agility, strength, and endurance. Whether your athlete's returning from rehab or working for a competitive edge, SRD provides the training and guidance to help them succeed. Schedule your athlete's assessment today at srdathlete.com.
Quick Turf is the go-to team for building championship-level sports facilities for public schools, private schools, and the entire school district. They also install beautiful backyard putting greens for homeowners. Known for lifelike, eco-friendly turf, Quick Turf handles everything from design and lighting to drainage and final landscaping. Their all-in-one approach delivers high-performance surfaces for athletes and low-maintenance greens that last for years. With preventative maintenance programs, they keep every field and green looking game day ready. Schedule a free consultation today at quickturf.com. That's QIKturf.com.
Matt Lewis with Lewis Automotive Group, excited to announce our trade-in, trade-up event. During this event, you get thousands extra for your trade value. Plus, it's all backed by the Lewis Guarantee. Double the factory warranty. That's a 10-year, 120,000-mile powertrain. Plus, you get 1 year worth of maintenance on us. This event's only going on at Lewis Automotive Group and is at all of our locations in Fayetteville, Springdale, and Farmington.
Could a little extra support help your child shine even brighter? Bridges Therapy Group empowers kids to live their best life with expert pediatric therapy services tailored to their needs. Their team offers occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy, guiding families from the first evaluation to every milestone along the way. Give your child the tools to succeed and shine. Visit btgpeds.com to learn more and schedule your appointment today. That's btgpeds.com.
Love where you live and play with Lindsay Management. Affordable apartments and golf memberships at 9 and 18-hole courses. Buying or selling? Trust Lindsay and Associates. Serving the community for over 50 years. Lindsay, #1 in apartments, golf, and real estate.
Welcome back, Coach. We looked ahead to the season, but let's talk about an event that's really close to your football program, and that's the Fayetteville High School Football Outreach event you guys have on Saturday, October 11th. This is the 4th year you guys have done this fundraiser. For those who don't know what this is about, what can you tell them?
You know, when we first came to Fayetteville, we kind of realized obviously there were some kids in need that didn't have certain life necessities. It kind of honestly started out in my living room floor, and we tried to get 4 or 5 people that we were close with. Started with my sister-in-law, then 4 or 5 family friends, and we got together and said, okay, who are the the kids that kind of had to separate them as far as what they needed at that certain time in their life that they didn't have from, and that was basic necessities from heaters and blankets when it gets really cold and it snows to food or whatever they need, soap and things like that. And it's really taken off and evolved. Now, we're able to help, a large number of kids now. So as everyone knows, when players and everybody walk through your high school doors every single day, there's over 200 of them that, can't make financial ends meet, or some of them are able to make financial ends meet. So we try to make it a more level playing field from the aspect of, okay, what are the basic necessities that they need? What are some things that we can help out with? And really at Christmas time, this is what this benefits is, we want everybody essentially on Christmas to be able to go underneath the Christmas tree and have Christmas. So that's kind of our big main focus of how it kind of started. So we try to provide as much as we can, but also be there for them in times of need, whether, we have a player parent or whoever, suffer a tragic situation. How can we help them out and do some different things to assist them in that journey, but also, it can start from groceries to whatever that they may need as well.
Did this start with just maybe a couple of players that sparked this conversation, and now is it all Fayetteville athletes or just those in the football program?
Yeah, it kind of just started with kids kind of coming to us and saying, Coach, can you help me out? And that's when I kind of identified, okay, like what can we do in order to make it a more positive experience for them, or how can I better impact their life, which I think is the main job as a coach. Everybody sees the end result on a Friday night, but there's a whole lot of things behind the scenes, especially in high school, that we've got to do to give our kids the best chance to go succeed on Friday. And that's where we try to make the most impact that we can make. So it's something that we started, within the football program, and it's kind of stayed there, but it's obviously grown over the years to now. It's been an awesome event that's helped over the last 3 or 4 years, really expanded. And to me, the most awesome part is, delivering those gifts and being able to see those kids' smiles and the moms start crying and everybody, really, really thankful for the impact that we're able to make in a variety of different ways for them.
So what is this event on Saturday specifically? You can get a ticket at the door, you can get a ticket in advance, but what do people expect when they walk through those doors on what they're going to get?
Hopefully my end goal is obviously, like I tell them, is, a life-changing experience for the kids. I invite people when we go deliver, these gifts and these Christmas presents to come with us so that they can see, the reaction from the kids, because I think, we kind of started that last year with a couple of community members, allowing them to come out with us, and it really kind of opened their eyes to a firsthand experience. So it was really something special for us. But I think the main goal, again, is to provide a life-changing experience for them, and that the end goal of that fundraiser is to help as many kids possible that we can help, just to make ends meet and have a more positive experience as they're in our program.
If people can't come to the event on October 11th, how else can they give? How can they say, hey, Coach Dick, I've got donations. I've got a financial donation that I want to make to you. How do I do that?
Yeah, on the flyer, there's a section there where you can call and make a, whatever type of donation you want, whether it's $10 or $100 or, whatever you feel comfortable with, and know it's strictly going to go to that fundraiser, the kids, and how we're able to impact them. So it's not obviously not going to me. It's not going to our football program. That's a totally separate entity that they're going to handle, and it'll go straight to the kids and nobody else.
All right. Again, here's all that information on your screen. The 4th annual Fayetteville High School Football Outreach Fundraiser, Saturday, October 11th at 6 p.m. And again, follow that website if you just want to make a donation to the cause. I love this, Coach, because again, you just don't know what your teammates, classmates, friends are going through. And I know that this obviously reaches so much further than the football field.
Absolutely. And like I said, that's our main goal, and just how can we impact them, make them more comfortable, keep them wanting to come to our door. And it's really been, kind of a blessing to go through and have it start in the living room floor. And now we're able to impact almost, 35, 40, 50 kids. So it's been pretty special.
Definitely something to be a part of. Thanks, Coach, and good luck this season. Excited to see what your team brings on Friday night.
Thank you, Alyssa. I appreciate it.
Like we talked about with Coach, the Purple Dogs open up the season with Cabot at home. They beat Cabot to open up this season last year, 48-13. That is going to do it for Varsity Vibe today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe, like all our social media platforms, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and sign up for the newsletter. Head to varsityvibearkansas.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Get it in your inbox twice a week. A special shout out to our sponsors, Lewis Automotive, Bridges Therapy Group, Lindsay, and Quick Turf. We'll see you tomorrow.